Thank you to Kawhi. Honestly, he inspired the country.
Unconfirmed reports place Leonard back in the city to meet with Raptors officials. Plus,
I've written them nothing, like crickets. The silence is the scary part.
a rock music festival canceled with less than a week to go. Now fans want to know, where's their refund? And Summer Wednesdays kick off at Evergreen Brickworks. We'll show you the sights, the sounds, and the tastes. Good evening, I'm Magda Gebrselassie. Well, Kawhi Watch is at a fever pitch in this city today as fans flock to the Hazelton Hotel in Yorkville. All because of a rumor that Kawhi Leonard might be meeting there with Masai Ujiri, the president of the Toronto Raptors, and GM Bobby Webster. Our Greg Ross was camped outside all day, hoping to catch a glimpse of Kawhi. He is the latest on the will he or won't he rumor mill.
While we can't confirm that Kawhi Leonard was ever here at the Hazelton Hotel today, the one thing I can confirm is that Raptors president Masai Ujiri and general manager Bobby Webster were here. We started hearing about it on social media this morning. Came out here and sure enough, I saw them having lunch inside the restaurant, and after a little while they left, went up a set of elevators. We were told there's speculation that they had some rooms here at the hotel, and that's really what kicked this off. Fans started coming down and crowding around the hotel, hoping to get a glimpse of something, and then the rumors started swirling about the Raptors private jet flying from LA to Toronto, and then there was a sighting of the jet on the tarmac at Pearson Airport. We saw people leaving the airplane and getting into black SUVs, and then one media outlet actually sent their traffic copter out to get shots of that SUV as it traveled through the highways of Toronto and here into downtown. There was a sighting of some SUVs going into the back of this hotel through a back alley. We didn't see who was in those SUVs. They went down into an underground parking garage. And at this point, we still don't know if Kawhi Leonard was in any of those cars, but it certainly had many of the fans excited here. We talked to a lot of them about why they came down for this today.
My coworkers are messaging me like, Kawhi's here. And I look over and everyone's gone from their desk. So I'm like, oh, I'm coming too.
It looks like hundreds of people here right now just hoping they might see him.
That's a sample of what's to come if he stays. But yeah, the excitement's crazy here. Trust me, if he stays, it's going to be good.
We might have another parade.
We might have another parade, for sure. We might shut the city down.
About 2 hours after they arrived, those same SUVs were spotted leaving the same way that they came in. And once again, nobody was able to confirm whether or not Kawhi Leonard was on board any of those SUVs. But again, the speculation started to swirl. And it's incredible how the rumor mill works, because it was just over a week ago that many were speculating that the Raptors were the favorites to land Kawhi Leonard in these free agent sweepstakes. And then we heard it was the Clippers. And then most recently, in the last few days, we were hearing that it was the Lakers that were going to land Kawhi Leonard. And now with this here today, many NBA insiders are saying the Raptors are back on top when it comes to being the favorites to land Kawhi Leonard. Whether or not that happens, well, I think this goes to show that really nobody knows what Kawhi Leonard is thinking. He really has a tight-knit group. There are very few leaks in that group, and I don't think we're going to know anything until Kawhi Leonard makes it official. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
We have an update now to a tragic story that we first brought you last night. Halton police have recovered the bodies of 2 people from a car that plunged into Lake Ontario off a marina in Burlington. Chris Glover has more on what we know.
It is odd until we get some more info on how the trajectory was. It just doesn't seem possible.
The mystery at the marina is the tragedy everyone is trying to piece together today. How a car broke through 2 concrete barriers in the parking lot and flew into the water.
It just sank, and there was no, pulling it up.
It happened around 8 last night. Witnesses saw 2 men jump in after the car, but they weren't able to rescue the couple trapped inside.
People were kind of frantic to see what they could do, but really there was nothing anybody could do with the speed of the car and conditions on the bottom. There's nobody could have done anything.
As they watched the car sink, many said it looked like the driver was in medical distress.
His arms are kind of locked at the steering wheel and the car was just going down.
We know we had a lot of witness accounts that said
from what they had seen, the driver appeared to be in some sort of medical distress, so it's something we're certainly considering and looking into.
And if not medical, then what else would you look for?
We would examine the car and see if there may be some sort of mechanical issue with the car.
In the middle of the night, a heavy tow recovered the car with a husband and wife found dead inside, a Burlington couple in their 50s.
Next of kin has been notified, and we're certain that the two occupants were the only two people in the vehicle.
It was quite the event to watch. Traumatizing for sure.
Today, as nearby residents came to make sense of the tragedy, they fished documentation out of the water believed to belong to the victims.
It sends shivers when I see something like this. So close to home.
And we went to the family's Burlington home today. Their 2 adult children are asking for privacy as they deal with this awful tragedy. Chris Glover, CBC News, Burlington.
Well, police have made an arrest in connection with a sexual assault of a teenage girl at gunpoint. The attack took place on a popular walking trail in Aurora. A 22-year-old Newmarket man was arrested early this morning after police received a tip. The attack happened around noon on June 24th on a walking trail behind the Aurora Town Hall. The name of the accused has not been released. Nick Sternkovich joins us now with the first look at the weather. It was a pretty nice day out there today. Can we keep it going?
Yeah, we can keep it going at least for the next few days. Environment Canada issuing a special weather statement for this hot and humid weather and expecting it to stick around until the weekend. And I would agree. In fact, we've got humidex values that are approaching 40 in some areas. There will be some relief, though, by the time we hit the weekend. For now, though, as I mentioned, special weather statements in effect right across the board there, talking about humidex values that are approaching that 40 mark. This comes under clear skies both for tonight and for tomorrow as well. May see a few showers down around Niagara, but other than that, the city of Toronto for the most part staying sunny for tomorrow. High to 30 degrees tomorrow, humidex of 37. More of that to come for the next few days. Full details in just a bit.
All right, thanks.
You bet.
Well, you've heard the phrase, the show must go on. Well, it seems that is not the case for a big rock musical festival scheduled for this weekend. Aerosmith, Nickelback, Kid Rock, Alice Cooper, and Blondie were all set to perform at the Roxodus Festival on July 11th. Our Kelda Ewan is in Stayner, where the festival was supposed to take place, and she has more on why it was canceled.
Susan Gage was all ready to rock out next week.
They announced in December. We bought in December because I thought, how cool, all these bands.
She paid over $1,400 for 2 VIP tickets. Now she's unsure if she will see that money again. This morning, organizers MF Live released a statement saying, due to heavy rains in the spring of 2019, the property at Edenvale Airport will not be ready in time to accommodate large crowds and performance stages. Our team has worked tirelessly to find a solution in which the show can go on, but unfortunately, we could not make it happen this year. For Gage, it was her worst fears confirmed.
I drive by the site and see, geez, that doesn't really look ready, like not even close to ready, like anyone can see that. So yeah, there was always a lot of chatter, and those in the area could see for themselves that it didn't look like they were making the right progress.
Milan Krupa owns the Edendale Aerodrome Airport. He leased 100 acres of land to MF Live to accommodate festival goers.
They looked like they knew what they were doing. I did ask if they did it before, and apparently yes.
But he too had begun to hear rumors of disorganization. The mayor of Clearview, Doug Measures, has been working with MF Live since December to bring the event forward. While he says he feels the frustration of ticket holders, he also understands the decision to cancel the festival.
I'm not surprised at the decision that was made, because the grounds need to be secure. The staging that they were wanting to put up, that you probably saw in the parking lot there, that staging's rather heavy. So I'm not an engineer, but I can appreciate that if you're going to put a heavy stage and put people on it and have, riggers working on it and production crew working on that stage, you want that stage to be safe.
Meanwhile, ticket holders just want to know one thing.
In their statement this morning, they say information on refunds coming shortly. I just don't know what shortly is.
Now, CBC also reached out to MF Live, the organizers, but they declined our request for an interview. They also would not answer the question about whether there would be any refunds. Meanwhile, the OPP has also confirmed to us that they are investigating a former MF Live employee, but they would not say whether that investigation is connected to the cancellation of the Roxodus Music Festival. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Stayner.
Well, summer is in full swing in Toronto, but you don't have to wait for the weekends to take in the festivals and their fine treats. Bringing that fun into the middle of the week is Evergreen Brickworks. Adrian Chung has the story.
Toronto loves its patios in the summer, and this one, not too shabby.
The sun, the beer, the food, does it get any better than this?
I don't think so. I think it's awesome. So I'm definitely booking Wednesdays and coming here.
But this isn't a beer garden. Evergreen Brickworks, a former industrial site turned green space and local market, is starting Summer Wednesdays every Wednesday until August 28th. It includes a renovated backyard for kids to play alongside local greenhouses.
The Brickworks in many ways is Toronto's back garden, a night that invites 1,500 people all the way through July and August every Wednesday night to enjoy the best of local food, the best of local drinks.
Torontonians have known about the bustling Saturday farmers market for years and say the transformation in this area has turned it into a real community space.
In the summer, you get to come out to a place like this where it's actually a space where you can relax.
Evergreen's big push this summer is to team up with local farmers and producers using only what's in season in the outdoor oven.
Each Saturday I walk through the market and talk to them and see where they're at in terms of their delays, in terms of when it's going to be ready and when it's going to be at its peak. Wherever possible, we try to use our herbs grown on the site.
And you can't forget about dessert.
A fresh strawberry coulis with a little mint in it.
So you probably have the best job so that you don't.
Best job.
Yeah.
I love my job.
Like the rest of summer's menu, the ingredients will rotate. Right now, it's peak time for Ontario's strawberries.
That connection, that circle of life between, where the food comes from and where it's going.
So I'm drawn to the food, but this is no food truck festival. Evergreen Brickworks is trying to turn this into community space every Wednesday, and it'll keep going until the end of August. Adrian Chung, CBC News, Toronto.
Signing up to smoke up. New rules at a condo in Mississauga say residents have to sign a registry to smoke pot in their own units. I'm Angelina King. More on the legalities behind that and the concerns from residents. That's coming up.
More pot shops across the province are on the way. The Ontario government announced that 50 new private cannabis stores will be licensed starting in October. But the criteria for hopeful applicants is a little bit different this time around.
We made the changes because we want to make sure that the people who win the lottery, who win the draw, are able to follow through and open the store.
So this all comes as some of the first 25 legal pot shops are still not up and running. Unlike the first time around, hopeful sellers will now have to show evidence that they can secure a retail space. They also have to prove they have enough money to open the store. The Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario will hold a lottery on August 20th for the next 42 stores. 13 of them are slated to open in Toronto. Mayor Tory is asking the province to include the city in discussions when it comes to where these shops will be opening. 6 stores will open around the GTA. Another 8 stores will be located on First Nations reserves through a separate lottery process. Well, some residents of a Mississauga condo say their board has gone too far by enacting a registry for people who smoke marijuana. It requires anyone who smokes pot inside their units to sign up. Angelina King now has more on what some people are calling an invasion of privacy.
Jack Krasinski and his family have lived in the Courtney Club condos for nearly 8 years. But a new rule is making him feel less at home, a registry to smoke pot in your own unit.
I think of it as a hit list of cannabis users that the board can look at and vilify all those folks and try to blame them on, say, some cannabis issue that may or may not have been caused by them.
Residents received this notice last month. It says they must sign up in the management office if they want to smoke pot in their units.
Again, a privacy issue here.
Krasinski doesn't smoke pot himself, but says he's talked to other residents who are also against the registry and are afraid to speak out because of the stigma surrounding marijuana.
They don't want to be seen as either potheads or even folks that are sympathetic to cannabis or are protecting cannabis users.
He points out there's not a registry for people who drink alcohol or smoke tobacco.
If we're going to enforce a list for cannabis, well, shouldn't we also enforce a list for those users?
The condo board and property management company declined interview requests. The Condo Authority of Ontario says condos can ban smoking marijuana altogether, but says it's not aware of any other similar registries.
This is a little bit overkill.
This real estate lawyer says the registry isn't practical and doesn't solve the issues smoking pot creates, mainly the smell.
If I was smoking pot in my unit prior to this rule being implemented, and now I have to sign up in order to keep on smoking pot in my unit, practically, I'm still smoking pot in my unit.
He says the registry isn't illegal, but calls it unreasonable. Owners can request a meeting to vote on changing the rules, which Krasinski has done.
I'd just like a little bit more conversation and pause before we try to implement this.
He says he'd like to have a conversation about what reasonable cannabis rules could look like, but ultimately he wants the registry scrapped. Angelina King, CBC News, Mississauga.
Now remember, if you have a story you'd like us to look into, we would love to hear from you. Send us an email, torontotips@cbc.ca. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
I'm Lorenda Redikoff at Eastbound Brewing. It's one of dozens of craft brewers that's opened up in Toronto in the past few years. But for some of these businesses, it's been a real headache to get through the city bylaws. Today, a city committee voted to loosen those regulations. I'll have more on what it'll all mean. That's coming up.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
The popularity of craft breweries is easy to spot. Dozens of them have popped up across the city, but some say zoning restrictions make setting up shop more difficult. And as Lorenda Redekop reports, the city is now trying to change that.
This craft brewery in the West End has been around for 5 years, but it was a struggle to open in the first place.
The city didn't really have any place for craft breweries, that they were looking at us like they would a giant manufacturer who might be making millions of liters of beer a week.
Craft brewers are a mix of a commercial operation and retail, with sales on site in addition to a bar or patio. But the city bylaws didn't always recognize that mixed use. Today, the Planning and Housing Committee voted to loosen regulations and for more consistency across the city.
Essentially, it's a modernization of a bunch of old codes that didn't quite overlap what a brewery is, and no two breweries were the same. So if you wanted to have a little leeway in your model, you might be able to do it in one district and not in another.
4 years ago, Councillor Mike Layton said that Toronto could be turned into the craft brewery capital of the world. But it's been a challenge. He says that for one local brewer in his ward, it took a couple of years before they got through all the regulations.
And it was difficult. Different areas of the city treated craft breweries differently. Different councillors and planners had different approaches.
He made a nod to the province's beer policy when announcing the city change.
This isn't buck a beer, this is about good beer, good jobs in the city of Toronto.
Customers seem happy.
We tend to come here every week because we're on maternity leave right now. I like beer, I love the microbrewery, craft brewery scene.
Though there's just one problem.
Could be too many breweries popping up though, because I have a hard time getting around to all of them as it is.
The motion still has to be approved by City Council. At Henderson Brewing, next they want the city to promote beer tourism, similar to winery tours. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Nick is back with another look at the weather. So we're finally feeling the heat of summer. Are we going to see that during the weekend as well?
We are, and I'm just going to say I got a lot of complaints early in the season about where's the hot weather. I don't want to hear any complaints about the hot weather. It's here. We got it for you. Temperatures today hit 29 degrees, 30 in some places across the GTA. This is a look at some of your daytime highs. With the humidex, though, felt like about 36, 37 across most of the city, and this is sticking around for the next few days. As I mentioned, that special weather statement in effect. Just to put things in perspective, the average daytime high for this time of year, 26 degrees. The average low, this is your overnight low, 14 degrees. So we're actually above that for the next few days, so you can expect this weather to continue on. Comes with sunshine. There's a look at tomorrow morning as we move through tomorrow afternoon. Same story. We've got sun in the forecast there. As we head through Friday, though, cold front starts to approach the GTA. We may pop up a few showers here. But not much. If we see them, they'll be fairly isolated in nature. Forecast-wise for tonight, look for, again, the risk of a few showers down in southwestern Ontario. Temperatures at about 20, 21 degrees. And I will mention that with the humidex, it feels like 26, 27 as your overnight low. By tomorrow afternoon, we've got highs to about 30, 31 degrees. In fact, Windsor, Chatham, Essex under a heat warning right now as humidex values will hit that 40 mark for tomorrow afternoon. For the Golden Horseshoe, we're looking at temperatures tonight, again, around 19, 20 degrees. A few showers down around St. Catharines. Same story for Hamilton. In fact, I think in the higher elevations around Hamilton, we may see a little bit in the way of fog patches developing. By tomorrow afternoon, though, pretty much looking at sunshine across the board. Again, the chance of a few spotty showers from Hamilton down through St. Catharines, but humidex values tomorrow as well. 37 to 39 in the region. That carries through all the way into Saturday. And Saturday as well, the chance for a few showers as that cold front pushes through. In advance of it, though, still looking at a humidex of 35. Bit of a cool down, though, for Sunday, Monday. I wouldn't even call it a cool down. Bit of a relief from the humidity as temperatures drop a few degrees and the humidex drops as well.
Thank you for that, Nick.
You bet.
Quickly have to move.
After the break, these wayward cows caused some headaches for police in Brampton last night. We'll tell you more coming up. A family of cows escaped from a farm in Brampton and went on the lam overnight. Peel Police quickly took stock of the situation and jumped into action.
You quickly have to move into action with the cows, and the officers in this situation did just that. Did you catch my comment with a move?
Police were called in to help wrangle the mini herd around 10 p.m. The 2 adults and a calf weren't in a hurry to return home. Police got a hold of the 2 adult cows before the calf was found 3 hours later. And that's our show for tonight. Thanks for watching. For news anytime, you can head to our website, cbcnews.ca/Toronto. Have a great night.